Arsenal's last missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle is here. Eberechi Eze, £52 million. Arsenal think that's going to be enough to tempt Crystal Palace to bring him to the table. Well, we're going to find out. I'm Ty Knight here for TK24 Sports. If you're new to the show, like, subscribe, turn that notification on so you don't miss the show every time we upload. Let's get into this. So, £52 million is what Arsenal are going to make the open offer to Crystal Palace. We know the deal expired. £68 million was the release clause that Arsenal was thinking, that's a bit too rich for my blood. Crystal Palace is now going to be thinking, well, if you're not going to pay 68 million, what are you going to pay? We still got 2 years left on his contract. Why do we need to give you a deal? But I think there's something about this that absolutely helps both teams. Arsenal really and truly want Eberechi Eze in the team. They've already bought in a Victor Gyökeres, a Martin Zubimendi, a Kepa, a Christian Mosquera, and a Madueke, should I say? I don't know where I was going with that one. Madueke is also coming through the door. But if Arsenal go and get in Eberechi Eze, it would be the final piece in a puzzle. It would be the player that absolutely helps Arsenal get that much closer with one hand on the trophy, should I say, and that is the Premier League. Eze is a fantastic player. We know that. We don't need to keep going into the stats like I've done for before. We don't need to keep on saying that he hugs the left-hand side more than the right-hand side like a Martin Ødegaard. We don't need to keep on saying if Arsenal do not get this player, it makes Arsenal weaker. If Arsenal get this player, it makes Arsenal stronger. It does. It's a sort of player that comes around once in a while, but he has grafted, and now you can go and get him. Pretty much, it reminds me of a Wilfred Zaha when he was at Crystal Palace, and Arsenal should have won and got him, but they didn't. People thinking, is it going to be enough there if Eze comes in? With Martin Ødegaard going to be there. For me, I think Eze is just a triple threat. He really and truly is a triple threat. He can play as a number 8, as we know. He can play as a number 11 on the left-hand side as a winger. We know that. He can also play as a number 10. And a lot of people are thinking he's just going to be brought in to be the number 10. Not the backup to Martin Ødegaard, but the competition to Martin Ødegaard. I don't see that at all whatsoever. What I see is Eze being the triple threat. When you want to rest Declan Rice, you bring him in for Declan Rice, not a Mikel Moreno. If you want to, give Martinelli and Trossard or either one of them a timeout, a big timeout, you're going to bring an Eze in there. If Martin Ødegaard's stinking up the place, you're going to kick him out and then you're going to bring an Eze in there. He is really and truly a triple threat. But £52 million is just not going to be enough to whet Crystal Palace's appetite. They're going to be looking for a deal closer to 60 million. They know they're not going to get 60 plus 8. They know they're not going to get that. But a deal closer to 60 million, if Arsenal making those terms more favourable for Crystal Palace, I can see the deal getting done. I see a deal more or less in a region of 55 to 58 million pounds being done, with 20 to 25 million pounds being up front and then the rest of the money then being spread across. But what I really want to know, what I've been trying to dig the most of it, the old deal, the old clause of the 60 plus 8, how much that money was going to be due to QPR, his former club. Now that deal's expired, does that mean that the terms have expired as well for QPR to get a bit of the money, a bit of money that was going to go to Eze as well? Now also going down this route to make the deal more plausible for Crystal Palace as well, because if they don't have to give some money as a sell-on clause as part of that deal, then it makes the deal even better for Arsenal and Crystal Palace as well. Maybe Arsenal were just playing that game of saying, do you know what? For a deal to be better for both of us, if we wait until the deal expires or should we say the sell-on clause expires, then you get a bigger piece of the pie. So you can take less money, but you still get a bigger portion of the pie. And maybe that's just Arsenal's strategy anyway. Maybe it could go until the last day of the transfer window, but I don't think that's the best thing to do. Arsenal really and truly should get this deal wrapped up before they play Manchester United. Doesn't mean that Eze has to start against Manchester United, but it's better to have the whole squad done and dusted and then focus on players that's going to be leaving Arsenal. Pretty much like a Kivior who's had a big turn down from a team in Portugal. But Arsenal need to focus on this wholeheartedly. This is the last piece in a jigsaw puzzle for Arsenal. This is the one that's going to complement a Victor Gyökeres in the long term for Arsenal going for silverware. We know Liverpool are also going after an Isak, but for me, I'm not worried about that deal whatsoever. All I'm worried about is what Arsenal are going to do to get this deal over the line. I don't want to be long-winded. It doesn't need to be. Palace are going to be looking closer to 60 million. Arsenal going to be starting off at 52 million. I think a region of a 55 to 58 million would be the final piece to get this deal done. But what's your thoughts anyway? Do you think the 52 million is a good price for Eberechi Eze, or do you think a deal getting done between 55 to 58 million is more plausible for Arsenal to get this deal over the line? What are your thoughts? Let me know what you think this deal is going to go for. Where do you think Eze is going to play? Where do you think Arsenal's going to finish? And also, what about this? How many points do you think Arsenal are actually going to get? And is this window out of 10? What would you rate it so far? So, love to know your thoughts. I'm Ty Knight here for TK24 Sports.